All of the beautiful pepper plants that have been doing so well are covered in aphids. Welcome to Blooming Wildwood Homestead. Boy, today do I have a story for you. Have you ever added something new to your homestead only to later end up regretting the fact that you brought that onto the farm? That's what happened to me, and we're gonna talk a little bit about what happened and how you can avoid, hopefully, or mitigate this potentially challenging, we're gonna say that, challenging circumstance. I have never had aphids on plants in my house, ever. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. You can see a lot of aphid stuff going on, and they just seem to come out of nowhere, which is really frustrating. Now I've got to try to figure out what I'm gonna do to treat this aphid problem and take care of it, because if I don't, I am running the risk of losing all of the plants that I've already started in here. What caused this problem, you ask? I'm not 100% sure, but the one thing that I can point to that was a huge change and something that I haven't had to deal with before was our new addition of the lemon trees. I brought these citrus plants onto the property into my house a little over a month ago, and it was after that point in time when I started having issues with the aphids. I haven't brought any other plants in, and I haven't purchased any other plants from the store. So my suspicion is that the aphids came from the nursery on these plants, and I didn't even think to look for them before I brought them into the house. Then after they attacked these plants, when they saw the fresh new starts and the fresh transplants, they decided to attack those and go after the peppers. We are going to just try and spray them down with a solution of Castile soap and water, and let's see what happens with that. You want to make sure you get under those leaves too, because we don't want any of these little guys surviving. I'm gonna go through all of these and we're just gonna keep after it and see what happens. I'll keep you updated. So what was my treatment remedy? Unfortunately, aphids are kind of a challenge for me to get rid of. There are a lot of, options out there, but if you're trying to go with a more natural solution, usually what you find is the response that you just spray them with water, and that usually takes care of it. I find that works okay if you have a plant that's outdoors. If you have a cabbage plant, or I've had issues with aphids on Brussels sprouts, you can spray it with a steady stream of water and wash those aphids away. But if you're dealing with baby transplants indoors, they're so young and tender, and if you apply too much water force, you're gonna end up damaging the plant as well. So you really have to find a balance between keeping your plant as healthy as possible and also ridding it of insects. One of the things that I read about was trying to make more of a natural insecticidal soap with Castile soap and mixing that with water and then spraying that onto the leaves. And so that's what I have opted to do. I took a spray bottle and I added about a teaspoon of the Castile soap, filled the rest of the spray bottle up with water, and then I've been applying that to the leaves that are affected with aphids in order to try and remedy the situation. The Castile soap is supposed to help basically suffocate them so that they end up shriveling, dying, and then you can move on. But with this treatment method, it is important to stay on top of it, because if you stop watching and you stop treating, that life cycle is so quick that they will just come back full vengeance. So here we are a couple of weeks later. These are the same pepper plants that you saw earlier. And they are coming around. They are looking a lot better. But because I have had to treat these with some of the Castile soap and water, I am noticing a few things that just are not quite right. For example, some of my leaves are kind of molding. I'm ending up with some issues on the soil as well. Just some leaf damage here overall. So I need to come through, clip these off, and I think that will really help. A lot of the aphid problem is finally, I don't want to say under control because I'm still having to stay on top of it, but it is getting better. As you can see here, you know, we might have a couple of aphids still on the loose, but for the most part, things are looking a lot better. The biggest issue that I'm still having, in addition to a little bit of leaf damage, is some of the new leaves that were coming out. You can see here have either been eaten off the top or they're just kind of, let's see if I can show you a good example. They're a little bit deformed. Things are not quite looking the way that I would want them to at this particular point in time. That being said, I am making really good progress here, and I think these plants are going to be salvageable. I try to watch the plants. So there was a period of time where I was spraying them twice a day with the soap, and that was a little bit too much. I think that might have been one of the reasons why I'm seeing some of the leaf damage on the pepper plants right now. You could definitely spray it once a day with the soapy water, and then if you're still seeing some at the other end of the day, you could try using just a spray bottle with plain water and try kind of washing them off. A similar idea to what people do with the hose on the plants that are outdoors. The other issue that I'm running into is that I don't want to put plants that potentially have aphid infestation into the greenhouse, because anything that's going on here is going to transfer over to new plants that I'm trying to start. So I really have to be careful about what plants go where and just trying to stay on top of this situation so that I'm not having a problem. I have never had to deal with this before when it comes to starting my seeds indoors. Having these plants be attacked by aphids really did set them back, and it also set the rest of my seed starting back as well, just because now I have to be hyper vigilant to the fact that they could pop up with aphids at any time. And if you stop looking for them and you stop treating them, you're going to end up with a reoccurrence and a reinfestation. I am going to continue to watch this and continue to treat them as necessary in order to move forward and hopefully maintain control of my aphid situation and eventually eliminate that as well. The biggest lesson I learned here was the best way to keep this problem from happening is to not bring new things onto the homestead. After I saw the infestation of aphids, it made me so sad, and I kind of regret getting the citrus at the point that I did. Even though I'm excited to have the citrus plants and I really want to have fresh lemons on the homestead, I'm not sure if it was worth it. Given that it's really set back my seed starting and the health of my transplants. So you'll have to judge that for yourself and what's going to be best for you, but at this point, I kind of regret my decision. If today's video was helpful to you, please remember to click like. We would love to have you subscribe and be part of our community here at Blooming Wildwood Homestead. Until next time, bye everyone.